Tonight we step into an age of soot, sideburns, and suffocating politeness. Everyday life in Victorian England. Forget the cozy version Hollywood sold you. The candlelit parlors, the dashing gentlemen, the tasteful romance conducted entirely through meaningful glances. The real thing was grimmier, smellier, and far more likely to give you cholera before lunch. This was an era that produced the steam engine, the postage stamp, and the unshakable national belief that showing an ankle was a moral emergency. So, have you ever wondered what life actually felt like back then? Did people really bathe just once a year? Could you survive a job that started before sunrise, ended after dark, and offered roughly 0 weekends and 1/2 day off? If your employer was feeling generous, what did anyone do about a toothache before painkillers existed? Would you last a single morning laced into a corset, breathing at 30% capacity while being told you looked delicate? And could you sip a glass of perfectly ordinary London water without accidentally signing your own death warrant? Well, congratulations! You have just woken up in 1851. The empire is vast. The queen is grumpy. And your chamber pot is full. Good luck. Let us start where every miserable day starts. Waking up. You blink awake in a narrow terrace house, wedged so tightly against its neighbors that you can hear the family next door arguing about turnips through the wall. There is no central heating, no insulation, and the window has a draft you could sail a small boat through. You share a bed with at least 2 siblings, one of whom kicks like a startled mule. The air is thick with cold smoke that crept in overnight, settling on everything, including your lungs. Welcome to morning in Victorian England, where the day begins cold, dark, and faintly flavored with soot. The first sensation is cold, the deep, bone-settling kind that no blanket can quite defeat. Your bedroom has a temperature roughly matching the street outside. The fire downstairs went out hours ago, and relighting it is somebody's job, probably yours. You can see your own breath drifting upward in pale little clouds, which is charming for about half a second before you remember you have to get up and put your bare feet on a floor cold enough to store butter. Then there is the smell, a layered and committed sort of smell. Cold smoke is the base note ever present, the perfume of the entire century. On top of that, you have the lingering aroma of last night's supper, the chamber pot in the corner doing its quiet work, and the damp that lives in the walls like a permanent lodger. If you have animals or a tannery down the road, the bouquet gets richer still. Imagine waking up inside a fireplace that is also a wet sock. What little light there is comes filtering through a grimy window that has not been properly cleaned since the previous decade. Glass was taxed for a good chunk of the era, so windows tend to be small and few, which means your home spends most of the day in a kind of permanent dusk. You do not so much wake up to sunshine as to a vague grayish suggestion that morning has technically arrived. It is like living inside a sepia photograph, only colder and with more coughing. Your bed itself is a modest affair. A straw or flock mattress compressed over the years into something with the give of a packed sand bag. The sheets, if you have them, are washed rarely because washing is an exhausting all-day ordeal. So you, your siblings, and a healthy population of fleas and bedbugs all share this cozy arrangement, locked in nightly combat. You wake up with fresh bites and the grim acceptance that this is simply what skin is for now. Getting out of bed requires strategy. Move too fast and the cold hits like a slap. Move too slow and you will be late. And lateness has consequences when your livelihood depends on a punctual arrival at a factory that fines you for tardiness. So you steel yourself, fling back the blanket, and commit to the unpleasantness, dressing in a hurried, shivering scramble while your breath fogs the air. And all of this, the cold, the smell, the dark, the bites, is just the opening act. You have not eaten, have not washed, have not faced the chamber pot, and have not stepped into the soup of the street. You've merely survived the night, which, to be fair, was never entirely guaranteed. Morning in Victorian England is not a fresh start. It is a damp, smoky reminder that the day intends to be difficult, and it is only just getting warmed up. It is time to address the unpleasant business of where exactly you relieve yourself. Spoiler, it is not a bathroom. For most of you, it is a chamber pot kept under the bed, lovingly filled overnight and waiting to be carried downstairs and emptied, ideally without sloshing. If you are slightly fancier, you have an outdoor privy at the bottom of the garden, shared with several other households and a thriving community of flies. The truly wealthy might own a brand new water closet, which floods the whole house with sewer gas because the plumbing has not quite figured out the trap yet. Either way, your morning routine involves more bravery than dignity. The humble chamber pot lives under the bed, within easy reach for those midnight emergencies, which means you are sleeping mere inches above the previous night's contributions. In the morning, someone has to carry it downstairs and out to be emptied. And the someone treats every staircase like a tightrope walk because a spill is a catastrophe nobody wants to be responsible for. It is a delicate art. The dignified transport of a full chamber pot, one rarely celebrated in the history books. If you are lucky enough to have an outdoor privy, congratulations! You have upgraded to a small wooden she-wood positioned a brisk, often rainy walk from the house. It is essentially a bench with a hole over a pit or a cesspool, and it is almost never just yours. Several families share it, which means timing is everything, and queuing is a genuine morning ritual. In summer, the smell announces itself from across the garden. In winter, you risk frostbite. In places frostbite has no business reaching. Then there is the matter of what you use to clean up afterward. Soft, gentle toilet paper is a luxury of the distant future. You are working with newspaper, scraps of rag, or whatever is to hand. The phrase reading material in the privy comes from a literal place, since yesterday's newspaper served two purposes, only one of which involved reading. Now the cesspools beneath all this need emptying, and that grim task falls to men called night soil men, who arrive after dark to shovel out the accumulated waste and cart it away. It is a job that pays surprisingly well, presumably because the labor pool is understandably reluctant. They work by lantern light, hauling buckets of unspeakable cargo through sleeping streets, and the city quietly depends on them while pretending they do not exist.